absent. Mr. Gisono?
Present.
Mr. Cole?
Present.
Mrs. Curley?
Present.
Mr. Callen?
Present.
Mrs. Brown absent.
Motion to accept the minutes from the last regular meeting on February 2nd,
So moved, Mr.
2016.
Chairman. So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Callen, seconded by Mr. Cole to approve. New case, number 9736, 0 Spring Road, parcel ID 016-411-024. Petitioner to Disco Properties LLC by their attorney Samuel A. Vitale allow the construction of a single-family dwelling on a lot containing 9,915 square feet in the R1 single-family district. Case number 9736.
Madam Chairman, good evening. I'm Attorney Vitale. With me is Pat Tedisco, who's the principal of Tedisco Properties. I'm not going to belabor this. Some of the members of the board are more familiar with this than neither Pat or I are, having sat on the case many years ago when these lots were created. And I'll just remind you that I still believe to this day that Mr. Zelangas exercised the approval. He recorded it. He went to the planning board and had it subdivision drawn, and the relief you gave him was to divide the lots, and he did. Untimely was his death, which prevented him from doing the last step, which was to build a single-family home. But his heirs, they acted upon it, and they acted upon it by selling the lot for $125,000 to Tedisco on the basis that it could be a duplex on it. It's in a single-family district, so it's a simple choice. If you can't put a single-family house on 9,985 square feet in a single-family district, you're supposed to plant flowers on it? What do you use it for? What was it sold for? And I discovered today a couple of things that I want to bring to your attention that I didn't know and didn't present the last time. And that is, this is the deed in last year in April to Tedisco Properties, selling it for $125,000. And I discovered that because one of the things I told Pat was, had Mr. DeLangus lived, he could have carried out his plan, but he didn't live. But there were ways, and the law recognizes, that when property is divided, you can exercise the approval you get in more than one way, and you don't necessarily need a building permit. And I believe that DeLangus not only did that, but that his heirs carried out one of the other steps, which is they conveyed the lot, inartfully apparently, in 2008, I believe. Yeah, there was a deed from Tom and his wife to a trust, a family trust. And that's how the land sat for a period of time. So there was a conveyance there. But the minutes before he bought the lot, they recorded a utility easement, and they recorded what's called a confirmatory deed. So this is the deed to Tedisco Properties. I'm going to give it to you to look at, but take a look. The book and page on this deed are 33995, page 092. That's how he got the property. Look at these references in this deed, okay? Confirmatory deed at 33994, page 36. So it means minutes before he bought it, they conveyed it to the entity that conveyed it to him. And they recorded an easement. It says in book 33994, page 43. So not only was there a subdivision, there was a conveyance, okay? And so to add insult to injury, I just want you to know that the city of Lynn, you know that Pat wants to build a house. You know that Pat came before you. But you don't know is that the city of Lynn taxes the garage that's there as a warehouse, commercial property. You've seen it. He's not conducting any business. It's classified as a warehouse. Why is that? I think people here know the answer, though they're not going to tell you. That's because Tom DeLangus repaired screen windows. He carried on some business on that property. And if the city's going to persist in saying it's a commercial use, and we can't have it for a residential use, then we're going to follow up on why does the city assessor classify it as a commercial warehouse when Pat hasn't done a thing in that building since he's owned it. But the city classifies it as that. So I give you this. We filed for an abatement. I'm hoping that they will grant the abatement, saying that the land's classified wrong. It's classified, the city assessors use the same code that the state uses. Residential properties are, a single family is a 101, a two family is a 104, a three family is a 105, an apartment house is a 109 or a 112, whether it's 4 to 8 units. When you get to the 300 classifications, those are business. And so when he got his tax bill, which was much higher than he thought it would be, because remember, the first 2 quarters of the fiscal year are estimated, all right? But somebody then, based on the commercial rate, he's paying the commercial rate for taxation on this lot, all right? When I inquired as how could this be, I saw that the city has it classified as a warehouse. When I saw that it was classified as a warehouse, I made an inquiry, and the only thing I can find is that the gentleman who was there may have been engaged in some business. And that may be the basis of the assessor's classification. But I think more significant in terms of the timely exercise was this deed, okay? There are going to be people come up here and tell you, oh, it's woeful about a single-family house. These are people who are living on lots that are smaller than this lot, as the assessor's map shows. Here's the assessor's map of Spring Road, and the best one is a single-family house built in 6,400 square feet across the street from the people who object to this house being built on a 9,985 square foot lot. And then there were people who were here who signed petitions when Tom DeLangus was alive, because they had their self-interest at stake, that they had no problem with a duplex being constructed. So when you hear from them tonight, ask them why they signed that petition back then. More importantly, we attempted to do what he was led to believe. When that was not approved by you and was opposed, he can't walk away from a $125,000 investment without some financial hardship. He came back, retained an architect, drew a plan for a much smaller house. You have the plans by a registered architect, single-family dwelling, meets all the requirements of the zone ordinance. The only thing that this house is short is the difference between the lot size now and 10,000 square feet, which is de minimis, especially in comparison to these other lots. Other than that, it's the setbacks, the sidelines, the parking, and it actually meets the requirement with respect to, is there a hardship? The land is sloping, the topography rises up, the house is built to set within a smaller footprint. Obviously, a hardship can be a financial one. If you're sold a lot, and even if you're a dope, and you pay $125,000, it doesn't mean you can't use it for anything. There has to be some use. I went back and read these minutes, and people said they don't want any residential use. Be careful what you wish for. Be glad to answer any questions. You have the plan. I talked with the architect, we made a site visit, talked with people in the building department, looked at the topography, reduced the size of the house, and what we're asking is to vary that one de minimis difference between the 9,985 and 10,000 square feet. I note that the lot that Tom DeLangus saved for his house is 10,009 square feet.
I just have one question on
Sure.
the design. Is the front door, is the front door recessed? Is there an overhang, or it's not showing? Is there any?
It's flat, but probably gonna end up putting something up there. These are like all kind of like the second half was at another great expense to get them done.
The larger curious because it needs something.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell if it
Yeah,
might have been.
It looks recessed, though,
Yeah,
don't you think?
yeah.
It's recessed.
I'm not good at reading plans too much.
Let me look at the floor plan. On the front elevation, above the basement.
Is there any proposal to extend, I know the pavement on the street kind of stops kind of in the middle.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Is there any
Well,
proposal to
Sorry, I'm sorry. It goes all the way past down here. It goes well past my property.
Right, that's what we looked at, whether it went past that.
As I recall, there was, maybe I'm not remembering, or maybe I'm not placing it right, but there was, the pavement was, it was paved all the way to the end, but there was a certain point where the
On my end.
pavement is different.
Look, if you look at, like, the lot looks kind of weird when you're up there, but if you look at the gentleman that owns this house back here, that uses my property to go down, there's a pin right here in the middle of the paved lot. So this, part of that paved lot is actually sitting on my property.
Okay.
But obviously, when we build this, if we get the approval, we'd be putting in the new driveway and the walkway and obviously, grass and all that stuff, a lawn and all that stuff.
So do you think there's any need to extend pavement of the road?
No, I think the
So
road
it's
is,
fine,
yeah,
so the driveway is gonna, okay.
this whole piece here is gonna be a side yard, and same thing here, because the lot's so big and the house got smaller by.
When the planning board signed the A&R, they had to determine two things. One, that there was access to a public way, which Spring Road is, and that there was sufficient frontage along an improved public way.
Hold it up
So the
on my
planning board
phone.
couldn't have signed the plan unless it met those requirements, and they signed the plan in 2008.
This is your garage right now, right? Right in the right place, okay. So see how the pavement kind of ends right there? How far up, you're saying this goes,
Yeah, well, this house is being moved over, but the other thing is, it's a good dirt here, but then there's actually pavement back here again.
yeah, but the pavement beyond this area right here is not as, it's not the same quality, I guess is what I'm saying.
This one isn't, no. I think when they did whatever they did here.
The road improvements were put in by the owner of the street, the house across the street on
Is this
64.
part of Spring Road an accepted city street? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It is an accepted city street. Is it only to the end of the pavement?
The pavement that is put in, that you're looking at, as I understand it, was put in by the owners of the home across the street, one of the DeLanglis people. And the width they determined. One of the questions that we looked at is why was it, people were if you recall, I was saying people are complaining about the width of the road, what they're not telling you is that they made the road that way, okay? But as far as, is it an approved way, the planning board, when it signs the plan, has only one real requirement, and that is, does it have access to a public way, and is it along an improved public way? If they sign the plan, then that's what they determined, and they did sign the plan.
I'm gonna ask you questions by you. Where is it? So, now the petitioner has said that this line is his property line, is it?
Yeah, I had the same question, Mr. Callen.
Yeah.
No, wait, here's the property line, it's right, here, Pat, this is the same question I had, this Pat. You see where he says that's the edge of the street, you see that, it says property line and edge of the street, okay? So, he's got,
So what the architect did is the requirements for the.
so the following, I had the same question,
uh,
10-foot setback is like here,
Yeah.
The periphery, yeah.
all right? The house is like 20 feet there.
It actually goes
Oh,
all
it
the
is.
way up here.
Yeah.
So it's not actually, this would be the legal 10 here, that's required.
Right here.
And this, we're actually going another 10 out here. Where's my name actually, so the gravel is actually.
So your property line is
This line right here, just.
this one where you're fingernail?
Yeah, he says right here, property line and edge of the
Okay,
street.
where the back of the car is?
Yeah, that's
No,
not,
I think-
that's something.
I think
we
he's
wanna-
saying if you follow this,
I mean,
property line and edge of the street,
it's
it
just
comes
that
down
it's,
to right
this
here.
is
Yeah, right.
more high quality.
And then when I
This is
scaled it or
just-
asked him,
All right.
it's
Almost
10
a
feet to
road.
here, but it's 20 feet to the house. Because I was looking at, and I asked him, how did you arrive at making certain that there was, you see what it says, he talked to Kathy Collins, or the village
Signatures, right.
Okay, but what I'm concerned about is, what's the name of the abutment here?
McManus? Is that the name, I believe?
Are they have to be?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, can you answer me, can you come up with a question for you? I haven't listened to this here, I said originally, but you're using this property to get at your back, you know,
Yes, we are, and that is legally, that is a public road. Up until, there's a,
Wait a minute, you have to listen to my questions, and that would be
okay,
an answer, right? Right now, from what I understood in the past, and I don't correct me if I'm wrong, that they were going over, the McManuses were using his property to get the road, his property to get the
Cross
road.
over, that's the only way to get there.
yeah,
Okay,
other than that, there's no way to get to mine.
all right, now, next question. Did you ever talk to Mr. Tedesco to get an easement over that?
We did in the last meeting, but
his car, knocked on their door while the cars were there, left them notes on their door, because I wanted to speak to them about that.
Yeah.
We never got a response from them. At this point, I'm not talking about easements, I'm talking about building my home.
There's no way it's been obstructed.
When you have to understand what's legal and what isn't, that's why I get Mr. Vitale asking my questions too. We go through this a lot, with the neighbors to get along. You know, you may say you're landlocked, and I agree with you saying he could put up a fence, maybe, I don't know. That's legally, I don't know what he could do. But I'd like to see you get together so you could get an easement agreement so that they could get at their back entrance.
With all due respect, sir, I would not do that. I've tried with them since day one.
We
Okay,
tried to
they
get a meeting with you,
No,
all of
that's
the
not true.
neighbors.
Okay, all
All of
right.
the
Well,
neighbors
the
have,
fact,
you
the
have
fact of the
not.
matter is
You
this.
have
I don't want to get into an argument this evening, but ask the
You-
neighbors
you
when they
left a
have,
note.
when they have a
You
party.
left a note
when
on
they
my
clap
car.
their
Excuse
hands
me, one at
on
a
my
time,
property.
one at a
All
time.
right.
I just,
If
The
he
fact
left a
is that
note
there's
on your
been-
car door or on your home,
And he left a
I-
note
many
threatening me that he
times.
was
I
gonna
had
put
a
a fence
personal
up or I
conversation
call.
with you. where
why
said
didn't you call
I
him?
told you we were talking
Why
about
didn't
it,
you
and I
speak
wouldn't-
with him?
I wouldn't want to hurt you,
Why
but
don't we
since
deal
that
with the
day,
reality?
not
No
once
one
I
has
called you
obstructed
Because of
their right
issues, sir.
No,
to
there's
get
no
to their
legal
home.
issues. It was just me and you,
All right.
left you many
All
notes.
right, all right.
Excuse me,
Sorry about that.
Mr.
no
Tedesco.
arguments.
Yes.
Mr. Tedesco, call you
The,
up and
no one
I
has
call them up.
obstructed
I don't want to see you
their
get an
access.
argument.
Okay? But the reality is that, as they acknowledge, the only way they have access, and understand, Mr. Tedesco didn't create this law. Mr. Tedesco didn't create their law, okay? It's a fact that they are abutters. It's a fact, whoever created that law didn't leave them access, except crossing someone's private land, okay? That's the reality. How we all got into the swamp, no one knows. But the question is how to solve it. That's what Mr. Callen's trying to do.
Can I just ask you both a question? How long have you been living in your property?
My whole life, I was been there since '77, I was born in '82, so.
In that property?
Yeah.
Sir,
So how long have you been using that access?
Since-
to Spring Road?
Yeah,
More than 20 years?
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you talked to an attorney about maybe
Well, no.
possibly having an
See,
easement?
Well, let me just point something out,
Say-
since I am familiar with easements and easements by prescription,
Yeah.
there's a difference.
I want to avoid that.
I mean, I'm not suggesting.
But I also
talking
want
about
to point
that.
out to you that,
I just
It's
suggested
literally-
that's something they
It's
might want to look
literally,
into.
Yeah,
I
but
I
their
can
own
tell you
attorney,
it's
right?
about
Obviously,
this
you're
wide.
but
on the
I
other
am
side.
saying to you
That
that an
is literally
easement,
being
All right,
argued.
listen, that's enough, enough is enough.
an easement by prescription is not exclusive. That's the difference. There's a difference between easements by prescription and adverse possession.
And that's your argument as the
No,
attorney,
it's
for
not,
somebody that's
it's
not
not an
representing
argument,
that.
it's the fact of the law.
I understand that, but I'm just suggesting. So I'm not
So-
suggesting that it's
so
something that.
you gotta be
we, the
careful
board-
what you wish
I'm
for.
just not suggesting that it's something we, the board, need to discuss. I'm just saying, as a recommendation, it's something they may want to look into with their own attorney in a different form.
No problem, but I
That's all
would
I'm
say,
saying.
well, I would say to you,
See,
that the problem
understand.
is, the problem with that is it may not be exclusive,
Yeah.
that other people can use it,
Yeah.
see?
I'm trying to get an agreement. They have a way in right now. It's illegal.
Hopefully.
I want to see them, even though this man says he's not going
I'm
to
willing
do
to
it.
step outside for 5 minutes and speak with these people, like I've been trying to do 10 visits at their
Well,
home.
go ahead,
If we
because
can
I'm
have
going to
5
pursue
minutes.
that.
Yeah, if you give me
Yeah.
5 minutes with them, I'd be more than happy to come back to
Mr.
the
Chairman,
board. Can I have 5 minutes, please?
Absolutely.
5-minute
Thank you.
recess. Now, what's it like that?